Hello, this video is not going to be your typical zombie llama crochet topic. It's going to actually be about tapers and gauging, mostly just because I'm a sheep and I want to throw my hat into the ring of the gauging community. I've been gauging my ears for I think about 8 years or so. I started when I was like 16 years old, and I'm now currently at a 00. I've gone back to regular piercing and back up to 00 and, everywhere in between a couple of times. I'm a horrible person when it comes to commitment. And also with my sheepishness, I also have the same kit as pretty much like 90% of people making videos about gauging and things of that nature. I have the Bod FX kit, mostly because it was stainless steel materials. I am a redhead, as you can see. I'm a very sensitive creature. I react to everything if it's not a true metal or surgical steel. Like, I can't do anything that has copper in it or anything like that. I can't even do sterling silver. It has to be straight up like surgical steel, pretty much everything. Hence, why my jewelry is all pretty much, just the basic stuff. It's nothing exciting, just because I want to keep my skin healthy and have my piercings have a good long life. Anyways, so getting right into it, like I was saying, this is going to be a atypical video on my channel, and I apologize if this is not what you want to see, but I was feeling inspired. So when you get these kits, as you've probably seen on everybody else's channel, they come in these beautiful little packages, and everything is individually labeled, and they're amazing. And I've actually used them to organize all of my other jewelry I've collected over the years, so everything is in their sized labeled packaging and I don't have to guess anymore. So you would start with, when you are initially starting, like a 14 gauge taper. Really, you don't want to use tapers unless you're using them for their more or less intended purpose, which is to keep the abrasions on the inside of your piercing to a minimum. You want to pretty much just make sure that you're being nice to your piercing. If you're taking the tunnel and straight pushing it through your ear, chances are good that your actual interior piercing is going to get caught on the edges, and you're just forcing it into the skin inside, which is what causes a lot of the problems. So I just have regular piercing in right now, nothing super exciting or special, just your regular, run-of-the-mill little stud here. And when you are doing any sort of anything with a wound of any kind or a piercing of any kind, because brand new piercings, stretched, absolutely brand new piercings are technically considered a wound, and you want to treat them with the utmost care, utmost sensitivity, just like you wouldn't want to pick something up off the ground and put it in your mouth. That's disgusting. So you want to make sure that your jewelry is clean. I have sterilized my taper. I have sterilized my tunnel, everything's clean, and I've also made sure that my hands are clean, my surface is clean, everything that I'm touching currently, including my ear, has been washed and cleaned, and everything is kosher, I promise. So, in addition to your tapers, which should just be an assistance tool to get your piercing in without causing abrasions or irritations on the interior of your piercing, you want to have some sort of gauging aid. In this case, I do have what came with my kit, Piercing Aftercare. It has coconut oil in it, and it's, it's a really nice product. It hasn't irritated my skin at all, which is an amazing thing to say. And you just something to kind of lubricate it. You don't want to use Vaseline, because that will actually suffocate your piercing. It doesn't really let much oxygen through it. It's not designed for such a thing. It's a very much coverage as opposed to porous, healing, oxygenating thing. Obviously not porous, it's not a solid object, but you get what I'm coming at. So you take whatever sort of deal you're using. I've used this. I've also used coconut oil. just generic stuff. Doesn't have to be anything exciting, but you want to make sure that there's not any additives in it, no dyes, no additional things. You want it to be a straight oil, something that you're comfortable with putting on your skin. You take it and you massage the product into your finger. In this case, it kind of needs to warm up on my skin and melt a little bit. You can kind of see my shine here. It doesn't need to be a whole bunch, just enough so that you can rub it between your fingers, massage the front and back of your earlobe. It makes it so that the blood flow is nice and healthy. With a straight piercing, that shouldn't be a question at all. But my entire earlobe gets massaged frequently because I do have gauges, and I'm very much into health and maintenance of my gauges because I only have two earlobes and I want them to last. And I'm not into those earlobe scars. I mean, they're pretty cute on some people, but not on me. So, my taper, like I've showed you 12 times before. Take the product. If you don't feel like you have enough, which you can see the shine, I have plenty enough. Your skin will absorb what it needs, and you put the rest of the product on your finger. Or not on your finger, obviously. You put it on the taper. Excuse me. I've forgotten how to speak English, or any language. And then you go back to massaging your earlobe. You want to do it probably for like a minute, or as long as you can honestly just stand there, or stand sitting there and massaging your earlobe. I usually do it, not necessarily when I'm stretching. I always do it in the bathroom with a sanitized counter and that sort of jazz. But if I'm just maintaining my earlobe health on the day-to-day, I will take my tapers out, take my shower, clean them all up, and then I'll sit on the couch, watch some TV, or I'll play a video game, and when a cutscene comes on, I'll just sit there, massaging my earlobes like a little weirdo. It doesn't have to be a completely life-impacting or life-changing event. So, yeah, again, I apologize for this kind of rickety thing. I never intended showing my face in any of my videos. I intended showing just my hands, my model hands. So, anyways, you got your earlobe properly massaged, you've got your taper properly lubricated, and you've got your tunnel ready. So you take your tunnel, and pretty much the mechanics of what you're trying to do is I'm going to actually put my taper in backwards, if I can find the piercing here, and show you what you should be doing on the back side of your earlobe. Let me get into frame here. When you are putting it through, you actually want to support the skin around your piercing. Give it some support. You don't want all that tension of you pushing a taper through going on the back side of your piercing. So you hold it with your two fingers while you're pushing the taper through. And so there's not any extra trauma or anything happening. So putting the taper through the proper way being the way I want it to go through. There's not really a right or wrong way. I mean, if you want your taper to be flare side on the back and O-ring in the front, who's to tell you that's not the way to go? So finally found my piercing. Got my taper set in there, supporting the back side of my earlobe. Just, let me get my hair out of here so you can see what's going on. Just barely putting my finger with a teeny tiny bit of pressure just to assist the taper getting through. And that was, zero pain, zero effort, zero force, which is what it should be. You should never shove anything in your ear. Like I was saying, you got two earlobes. Do you really want one to be blown out? Like, that's not good. Especially on your first stretch, you don't want to be doing that. So you've got the taper through. Whenever you are about to put your tunnel in, the same mechanics kind of apply. You take your tunnel and your taper. Let me grab my tunnel here. And with this hand, whichever hand is holding the taper, you're actually going to want to be supporting your earlobe on this side of your finger and pushing, kind of maybe solidly holding less than pushing the tunnel. You want to solidly hold it and not let your fingers budge, because these will probably also be the fingers that are currently lubricated. You touch your tunnel to the front and you are pushing equally against each other like this. More so holding like this hand, like I said, but pushing with your index finger, so that when, can't even touch the products anymore. Here we go. Too much lubrication. So, oh my goodness, again. So, once they've actually your shakes have gone away and you can touch them, you actually just push your tunnel through to make sure that there's never a disconnect, because that's what can cause the abrasions and the irritations inside of your piercing. When, again, you're going from, to get some of the stuff off my fingers real quick and show you the difference between what my regular piercing, which is this guy, and the tunnel is. So you can see the difference, maybe sort of kind of see the difference, what's happening. You want to assist your ears. You're causing trauma. You're causing additional stress to your earlobes, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, change is difficult in any situation. So anyways, once you've got your tapers in, you probably want to leave them there for, I would say, several days to weeks before you actually take the jewelry out. You definitely want to try and clean the area as much as possible. If you don't feel like you're getting it clean enough, you do take the jewelry out, or if the jewelry is super gunky, there's a fine line between you wanting the area to heal before you take the jewelry out. Like if there's an open wound and you're super concerned about it, absolutely go to the doctor. Get somebody that's professional, that has, an actual degree in this sort of thing, being medicine, to check you out before you make any decisions. Don't ever take advice medically from anybody on YouTube. That's not a good way to go. But if it's an open wound, what I've noticed, like, being that I've stretched prematurely and it's bleeding a little bit, or it's just irritated in general, if it only lasts a couple of days, I am very gentle with it. I don't take the piercing out. I rinse it as much as possible. I actually take a mug of warm saline that I've, made myself. And almost every tattoo place or piercing place that you go will tell you, and sometimes actually give you, the material, salt being the material, and the instructions on how to make your own saline. So you make the warm saline, put it in a mug or some other kind of container, and you just soak your earlobe. I've spent many an hour with myself tucked over the side of a mug, letting my ear, soak up the healing goods. So, obviously if your ear, like your entire earlobe, is inflamed and bleeding and just looking super nasty, and just, like, you can smell it, just chilling, not touching your ear, agitating smells or anything. If you're just sitting around, you can smell your ears, you need to go to the doctor, because something is dying. Something's not doing what it's supposed to do. So pretty much what I was getting to is there's a fine line between taking your jewelry out to let your earlobe heal and taking your jewelry out to letting the infection become closed inside of your ear. Because the infection could sometimes last longer than it would take for the actual abrasion or injury that has occurred to your earlobe to close up. Not a medical professional, just been doing this for just a couple years, not a wizard of any kind, but I've just noticed that myself. When I've had irritations in my ears and I've done it too prematurely, and I've, had a little bit tiny, like, little scratches or stretches that are overly done inside my ear, take the piercing out, let it heal. My ear actually is reacting way more than it should be, and it actually ends up coming to having to go to the doctor and get antibiotics, or, just being in extraordinary amounts of pain waiting for it to pass. So if you do have to take your jewelry out, I've usually just downsized one size. I don't usually do it in both ears unless it's past, like, size 4, when you can really start desperately noticing the difference in sizes, just because I like things to look even. That's my personal preference. Some folks like to have them separate, and I've actually seen, like, the cutest looking ears. And this one woman had, like, an inch size gauge plug in one side and just a 00 in the other. And it looked amazing on her. Me, not so much. But anywho, you leave it out for a couple days, you massage your ear as much as you can stand it. If you're ever just sitting around your house watching television, grab you some coconut oil right here, like this. Any kind you can find that doesn't have any additives or dyes in it, or this. Or you can go online, the Googles, and search up the different oils you can use. There's a ton. A lot of folks like the jojoba oil. I just never have gone out and purchased it myself, so I can't really say much about it, but I've seen the results and they look pretty good. If you have that, great, use that. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much the gist. Take care of your ears, take care of your earlobes, massage them for blood flow assistance. At 00, it's not nearly as much of an issue because you can see there's still quite a bit of flesh at the bottom. It's not nearly as spread out as it would be at larger sizes, but still, I take the care for my ears. I take my gauges out almost every day when I'm showering. And sometimes I'll leave them in if I forget. It's not that big of a deal. But you still want to take them out every couple of days or every week or so after your ears have actually healed and massage them. Just for lubrication and health, especially if you live in a very humid or very cold climate. Your skin will lose moisture, and that's a very big part of health for your earlobes. With piercings, you probably haven't noticed such a thing, but when it comes to gauges, it's an entirely different ball field. So again, like to reiterate, I am not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional of any kind. I am just a person who has used my earlobes for gauging for about, I think it's been about 8 years, and I haven't lost an earlobe yet. So yeah, if you have any questions or anything like that, do let me know. I'd love to help you. Not saying it's going to be a magical cure or, very good advice, but hey, I'm here. Alright, anywho, thank you for watching and have a good one.